Good morning and welcome to another episode of Talkin Sports. I'm Bill Barrows, your congenial host. We've got Jim Landrum over here to my left. We've got Steve McClure on the far right. And I tried to get Taylor Swift, but we got stuck with Rick Carnes. So
You promised Taylor.
I know, I did.
Sorry to disappoint.
It is a disappointment.
Our guest this morning is Stan Leland, who is a Wabash County resident, been here all year long,
Yeah.
I guess. We're going to talk a little baseball, but before we do, let's you and I talk a little bit. I mean, these guys will jump in.
All right. Yeah.
Stan lived in the neighborhood just north and west of where I grew up, and right here in the middle of Wabash, the city, just north of the downtown. And we played ball. Didn't matter what sport, didn't matter what time of year, we played ball all the time. Now Stan's actually my cousin. Our grandfathers were brothers.
Yeah.
But we played with and against each other all of our lives growing up. And they had their neighborhood team, we had our neighborhood team. And it was like Northfield Southwood, Wabash Peru. It was like those kind of rivalries.
Yeah, that's good.
And they were knockdown dragouts, and it was fun. And he has an older brother and a younger brother, and it was like we play football, and we would promise our mothers that we would play. Am I right? We would play more or less touch. But
Wow.
it was not touch.
It was not.
Starts out touch and
Yeah.
escalates, right?
Never forget. I'll never forget Mark Frischman, Dave's older brother. He's like, "This is not fair. The Lelands brought Paul Eckrite, and he has hard shoes on. You can't tackle somebody with hard shoes on."
We had to recruit. We didn't care. We had enough.
But he did live in your neighborhood.
Yes, he did. He was in the neighborhood. Yeah. Yeah. I remember that.
My
No
gosh.
offense, Bill, but I'm betting on Stan. I don't know.
That's usually what happened. That's usually
No,
what happened.
they were a lot of fun.
Oh yeah, we
They
had
were a lot of
a
fun.
ball.
I don't know if we ever beat the Copeland neighborhood. but-
No, I don't think we ever did. I think we could have put your team and my team together.
Yeah,
We wouldn't have
yeah,
beat them.
That's true.
Because they had not only Arvin, they had Paul.
They had Paul.
They had Buttons. My gosh.
Had a lineman.
They had Bobby Gaines. They had, we could go right down those rosters all day long. But anyway, we kind of grew up together, and in fact, we had a debate not long ago as to who hit the first home run at the Honeywell
Yeah.
Little League Diamond.
Yeah, we've talked about this.
Yeah.
My money was on Arvin. But
Well-
I found out wasn't it Novak?
Yeah, it was Don Modoc.
Of course, he was like 10 years older than all of us.
You still in Little League?
Yeah, he was still hitting home runs. He hit like 67 that one year. It was a lot.
But we played in our backyards.
Yeah.
I mean, we'd get on the bikes and off we'd go. And what's the name of that bank? Right across from where you used to live.
First National.
Yeah, it was the First National. Where that was, now it's Flagstar or whatever it is. Where that was their field. That was where we played.
Yeah.
Where I lived on Miami Street, there was a big field in behind. We played there. We had basically 2 or 3 games a day in the summer. We would play at 9 o'clock somewhere. We would play at noon or 1, depending upon lunch. And then we'd play at 6, unless we were playing a Little League game. But I'm telling you, and Rick, you've talked about some of this but these were more competitive at times than even our Little League games.
Yeah. Yeah, you wanted to win those.
Oh,
You wanted to win.
it was amazing how we went through all that. But
Who was the first one to hit one into the pool?
And that was Arvin. That was Arvin Copeland.
All right.
And Arvin verified that at our 50th class reunion last month.
Yeah, I knew
He
somebody
verified
did.
that.
I thought
Of course he did.
We only had one ball, so the game was over.
Exactly. Game was over. You couldn't, I mean,
right.
you couldn't climb the fence. I mean, you could, but
Or if
nobody
somebody-
was. Although I think Novak did that a couple of
Yeah,
times.
yeah. But if somebody came with a new ball, that was it.
Yeah, new ball. Here's another thing. Sam's Sports Shop. Remember?
Oh,
Sam
yeah.
Schlimmer.
Yeah.
You guys won't remember this, but Sam Schlimmer, he had a little sports shop, and it was out in the Central Shoppers Mart about, well, if you know where AutoZone is, it was in that area. It was down the side of it. And we would go get rid of old Coke bottles or whatever, turn them in for the deposit. We'd run to Sam's Sports Shop and buy a new ball.
Oh, there's nothing better than having a new baseball.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There was somebody bring a new baseball, but they were invited.
Oh
They
yeah.
played.
Always,
They played.
always. Until somebody hit it hard and lopsided it.
Yeah.
Because back then, you'd get the cheap, literally, a
Yeah.
ball that cost $1.
It didn't take much to lopsided.
No. So now it's like you're throwing a football.
Yeah.
But what the heck? We played football. We did. Jeez.
Yeah.
Where
The
did
good
they,
old days.
where did those days go? My God.
It's called-
Whatever.
It's called travel baseball.
I know. I know.
Yeah.
That's
You didn't
true.
travel as far, but you played as much.
That's true.
Stan and I played on the same Pony League team, but we know that more now as Senior League or Babe Ruth. We played on the same Pony League team. I was a 15-year-old, he was a 13-year-old, and Chris Rude decided that I needed to be our catcher, and I'd never caught in my life, literally. I was our third baseman, and he's like, "Nope, you're going to be our catcher." And I'm like, "Coach, I've never caught before, so I've never even put on the equipment." And he says, "Well, if you don't catch, you're not playing." So I
Okay, I'll catch.
Well,
That's right.
guess who pitched the first time I caught? This guy.
I
And
went
he-
out wild though with him. I tried to keep him out of the dirt. but-
he was a little wild, but it wasn't necessarily as much him as I think it was me. I mean, I learned as I went, but my God, you threw hard. It's just.
I was blessed. Blessed to get on.
Here's my question: you threw like that. What happened to Sam and Don? They didn't throw that hard,
No. Well, Sam, he never got into sports much. And
but he did play with us.
He did. And Don, he was a different cat.
Gee,
Wherever.
Still is.
Yeah. No, he threw okay. But yeah. Yeah, my parents weren't very big. My dad's 5'10", my mom was 5'7", but really nobody in the family was. I had a great grandpa that was 6'4".
There you go.
And so I suppose on
There
dad's
you go.
side, that's probably where it happened. But yeah, I was get all the height and the size. Yeah.
So we played Pony League together, and then we played high school together. And I wasn't our best catcher, but I did catch some.
Did all right.
Arvin was our catcher most of the time, and I mean there were some pretty good matchups when you were pitching in high school. I mean, like some of the teams we played. Who were the kids? The guys from Kokomo.
Well, Underwood.
Underwood. The
Oh, yeah.
Underwood.
Yeah.
Board. Didn't you go head to head with them one
As
time?
a junior.
Yeah.
Pat.
Pat,
Pat,
the
yeah.
younger one,
So in '76, that's really my big break. We started out with Kokomo, and Pat Underwood pitched against us. And there must have been, I don't know, 30 scouts in college. It was packed. We got beat 6-0, but I threw hard and threw pretty well, and then that kind of snowballed my career. But he was the number one pick in the country in 1976.
Wow.
So you know, it was a big deal.
So
He
I
was a
guess
left-hander. right?
Yeah, lefty.
Tom was too, I believe,
Yeah.
his brother.
Yeah.
see by that time I had graduated and was on to college, but I never. I guess you and I've talked a million times, but I never knew how that all came about. I mean, obviously some of those scouts said, "Hey,
Yeah.
Wabash has got a guy."
Yeah,
So-
that's probably how it happened. And then that summer, well, it was after the Blackford game. Colin Lister with the Comets,
Sure.
he had a traveling team and it wanted me to know if I would play on that team. And I said, yeah, I'll play that summer. So I went up there that summer and played with him, and we went, and he took us to Illinois and Ohio and a lot of tournaments. And there was as scouts all the time. And
Mhm.
that was another big turning point. And then my senior year, before the season started, scouts came and brought the guns in, wanted to see how hard you're throwing. And by the time the season rolled around, you were on the list and headed to getting drafted or doing something.
So how does that all, back then, how did that all develop? I mean, did somebody start calling your house, or, I know Coach Rude was involved.
He was definitely involved, especially with the college visits. He was heavily involved, and I know scouts. They had a scouting bureau, and the bureau was, I don't know how many guys it was, but they kind of scouted for all the teams, and then like Houston and the Cubs, they had their other scouts, but the scouting bureau is the one that really came after me pretty hard. Guy lived in Ohio and became pretty good friends with my folks, but he kind of kept us up to date what was happening. And and it just every game. I mean, I didn't know who was going to draft us or draft me, but it was a fast and furious time. And we got phone calls at the house. Dad talked most of the time, unless it was a college scout that wanted to talk. But that was pretty much how it worked. And then the draft day came, and of course wasn't on TV, and
Mm-hmm.
you sat around the phone waiting, hoping you got a phone call, because it's projected to go top 5 is what the scout top 5 rounds, and sure enough, I got a call from, was it Houston who called, or no, Roy Church the first one that called.
Really?
Roy had been watching and saw it on the AP.
He was hoping you get drafted by Philly, wasn't he?
Yeah. And then somebody from Houston said, "Yeah, you drafted."
How many of you guys knew his dad, Wendy? Anybody?
No.
He would have been a great negotiator.
Well, he did negotiate that, yeah, actually. So I get drafted second round, but right after the draft, Chris Rude knew a guy that played for the Reds. We go to Cincinnati.
Oh, I remember that.
We go
down there.
We go down there and meet with this pitcher. He was drafted in the second round, and he kind of said, "Okay, here's the kind of money you need to be looking for," and kind of told me the ropes and what was going to happen. And so, sure enough, they came in and offered about half the first time, and said, "This is what we're going to offer you." And Dad said, then it didn't him long. "You're going to have to double it, then come back and see us." So I'm thinking, boy, Dad, you just screwed that up. But anyhow, so they came back. My scout that I was in contact was Billy Smith. I remember Billy Smith came in, and he brought his boss, the big guy, the head scout from Houston, and I had to pitch another game in Fort Wayne. I was another game with the Comets. So I go up there, and I'm talking about nervous. I was a nervous day. We won. I did okay. It wasn't great, but they came back in, and we cut the deal, and we were off. But yeah, I thought that, man, because they didn't call for 4 or 5 days. It's like,
Come on,
what are we
Dad.
doing here?
I'm gonna be sweeping streets here.
Wow.
Yeah. So yeah, and then so we get that done like June 12th or 13th, and then June 25th, I think I flew out and went to Sarasota, where our rookie ball team was, and so all the guys are there, and you got once we kind of get to know everybody, we got a break and go try to find a place to stay, because we're on our own. And so 6 or 7 of us ended up somewhere we called it the Cockroach Motel. Actually, my wife called it that. At the time, my girlfriend and my mom, so, we're shooting tobacco back then.
Oh, yeah.
So we were going on a road trip 4 or 5 days, and there's tobacco cans. And the rumor has it there was a cat. We had a cat, but when we came back, the cat was gone. So we thought maybe the cockroaches got the cat.
Well, there you go. There you go.
It was kind of nasty, but a bunch of guys and college guys and high school guys.
Well, nowadays, and this has just happened in the last 4 or 5 years, those guys at the lower levels are starting to make at least enough money to get them by through the season.
Yeah.
Describe what you went through, because I know it was
Yeah.
not easy.
Yeah. So the minor league contract was $500 a month. And
Which seemed like a bunch of money back then, but I'm sure it
yeah,
wasn't.
you go to one road trip and you're out for the rest of the month. But That's another story
There
for
you
another
go.
time. But, yeah.
Well, maybe not another time.
$500 a month. If you went on the road, you got $5 a day meal money.
You can go to McDonald's.
Yeah,
There you
Wendy's,
go.
McDonald's, yeah. And, so yeah, I mean, there was nothing there. I mean, there's no money in the minor leagues. I might be better now. But back then, I think my rookie ball contract was $500 a month, and then I think it was $650 in my second year. The big break was in, I think, the strike in 81.
Mhm.
I was on the big league 40-man roster, so they put into the contract there would be a minimum if you got sent back down, and so it went. I think it was $14,000 for half a year. You only got paid half when you were playing, so which is a big deal. I mean, that was back then.
Yeah,
you know,
that was
play
some
6
money.
years, you get a little money. You know, the signing bonuses, they had incentives. If you moved up, you know, you'd get a little bit more, but really the money was back then was in the major leagues, and you needed to get there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, I mean, what did you have, 4 or 5 guys staying in the same
Yeah,
motel, if you will?
yeah, we actually rented a house, and I think there was 4 of us in the house. When the next year when we were in Sarasota, we were on the beach. There was a house, and I think 6 of us was in that house. But,
It's like
yeah,
my brother's college years.
yeah.
No thanks.
But you're at the ballpark, you know, you get home, we played mostly all-night games, so you get home at midnight, and time you get to bed, it's 2, and then you get up at 9 or 10 and head to the park about 2:30.
Do it again.
Yeah, I mean, that's what it was.
What was the routine at the ballpark on a daily basis?
Well, I was a pitcher, so I was a starting pitcher, so it wasn't too bad.
Yeah.
So every 5 days I was pitching, so, you know, if I pitched last night, I'd get to the park, get my run at, you know, probably 4:30, hang around with the guys. About 5 o'clock, we'd go out and get a running in. We always had to do foul poles.
So all that running we did, playing for Coach Root still.
Yeah, it came in handy. It came in handy. So yeah, did our foul pole running, and then, you know, we shagged batting practice. If you're the starting pitcher, if I pitched last night, I'd be at the bucket.
Oh,
People
yeah.
throw balls
Or
to you.
behind second
Yeah,
base.
run them in, yeah, so that's how that was done. And then the second day after the start, same, more running, more shagging balls, but then we throw about 10 or 15 minutes to kind of get the arm loose. We take the third day off. Fourth day, we were doing everything else. The night before the start, starting pitcher would sit behind home plate, and we'd chart the starting, all the pitchers that came in, get to know the batters a little bit, and then the next day we're out there again.
Now, nowadays, I know, like, say for instance, the Tin Caps, single A, they play Tuesday through Saturday or Sunday, travel day, if indeed they're traveling, and then a day off on Monday. What was your schedule like there?
Yeah, so we played 144 game schedule.
Dang!
We started April, I think maybe big leagues back then were starting April 2nd or 3rd. We started the 5th or 6th. And then we were done September 1st, our season was over. So we had 1 day off to travel. But we played pretty much every day. Wow. Every day. And you know that most of the time, except for AAA, we were taking buses. So rookie ball was okay because everybody was Sarasota, and there's Bradenton, and a lot of those teams were right there, so we didn't have much traveling
Spring
there.
training sites
Yeah.
or whatever.
Single A, we were in Florida State League, so we were at Cocoa Beach, was our facility, but we played all the major league ballparks. So we played St. Pete and Tampa and Miami, and those are Fort Lauderdale. Those are some cool,
Oh, yeah.
cool times. So we did a little traveling, but then Double A was Southern League, and that was a difficult one because we were in Columbus, Georgia, and we'd go to Charlotte, we'd go to Jacksonville, we'd go to Savannah. So, you know, we have these 10, 11, 12-hour bus rides, and the bus didn't have the air conditioning, didn't work, all the stories you see.
Yeah.
I had a good little Puerto Rican buddy, and I'd try to sleep, and he always helped me, don't sleep.
Why?
Well, I don't know. He was lonely, I
I'm gonna
guess.
put you to sleep.
Those were the days then, but, you know, we always had a little wager on the bus, you know, I think it was set up now that I think about it, but they put numbers on the wheels. And you pay for a number, and when the bus stopped, if that was your number on top, you'd win the money. I never did win, I don't know. Same guys kept winning, I don't know how that happened.
Cheating dogs.
But we'd always get hooked into that, and there goes, part of our mill money on that darn wheel.
But you know what? You know who started that? I guarantee you, it's somebody like him that started that. He's a gambler.
Well, it might have been, we had a couple of guys like that. Yeah, so.
Side action.
But yeah, and then AAA, we flew. I was in Tucson.
Oh.
Hawaii, San Diego, Portland. That was pretty cool.
So I mean the depiction of the travel, the broken down buses, and all that kind of stuff, like let's say in the movie Bull Durham. That was.
Be there, yeah, been there, done that, yeah.
Really?
That's
Wow.
That's the real deal.
Do you remember the stadium at Savannah by any chance?
Yeah, Savannah.
My son played in the opening rounds of the NAIA Nationals.
Okay.
And they played at Savannah, and that park is still the same today.
Wow.
It's got the old grandstand, it's
Yep.
got the light towers.
Yep.
It's got pictures of many of the old famous players that play there. It's historic and it's beautiful.
Yeah, those old ballparks. Knoxville had an old one. Ours was old in Columbus, Birmingham. They were.
Was that the Birmingham
Knoxville.
Barons?
Yeah.
That was their stadium?
Yep.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow, that is historic.
Yeah. Charlotte, Memphis was Nashville and Memphis had fairly newer ballparks, like you would, well, not quite as nice as they are today, but they were a little nicer than those old ones. But the locker rooms in those older places weren't the best, but the fields were cool. I enjoyed that.
So, I've been through a lot of this history of some of these old ballparks. Pete, jump in if you think of anything here. Pete Jones is sitting out here in the wings just in case we run into something that
We need some
We
real
need-
knowledge.
real knowledge.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But anyway, you go through all the history of this stuff, and you see all of these depictions out of Hollywood or whatever. My daughter and her husband live in the Charlotte area, and I've been to several of those newer parks with my little grandson until you go to Durham, and they still have the old one. They have a new one, but they still have the old one, and it's like walking into a movie set, seriously. But you wonder, with all the money that Major League Baseball makes now, where all that money came from to build these new parks, because they're not built by the major league teams. Am I correct?
With it, I don't. Very, very few, if any. I think you're right. It's kind of like Fort Wayne. They had a bunch of investors.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It's
I think the minor league games I've been to today offer a lot more than what we had then. Ours was just pretty much play. You might have a night. We played in Columbus, so I think there's an Army base down there. We'd have those nights, but it was just baseball fans that went to those games, and there wasn't a lot for the kids going out today. My kids love to go to Fort Wayne or Indy or.
Oh, they have so many promotions
yeah.
and things going on during the game.
Yeah.
I have a friend who played the minors, and he said he was a number 4 hitter on his team. And before the game, they pick a player that if he strikes out, everybody gets free beer.
That's a good one.
again, Rick
That's a
Harness
good one.
started that one.
His
That's a
number
good
got
one.
picked, okay?
Yeah.
First time up, he strikes out. Crowd goes crazy.
Yeah.
Second time up, he strikes out. Crowd goes crazier. Third time up, strikes out. Crowd goes crazy. The fourth time up, he comes up and he looks around. They're all chanting, beer, 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 beer. And his own dad is in the stands going, beer, beer, beer. And he hit a home run and they gave him a standing ovation.
There you go.
That is cool. That is cool. Yeah.
What
Yeah.
are your, and I'm probably getting ahead of myself here. Jump in, guys, if you think of something else, but what are your impressions of how things have progressed to today? Say, for instance, a lot of the new major league rules that they've implemented started in the minors. Say, for instance, I went to Victory Field 2 falls ago with Terry Seidel, who lives down that area now, and they were in AAA. They had just started experimenting with the electronic strike zone and the tap on the head, you know, go to the replay, all this and that. It does all of that kind of stuff. The pitch clock, all of that has changed the game for the better. What are your views?
Well, you know, I was a starting pitcher, and back then, you know, we were supposed to go 7-8 innings, you know, finish a lot of games, so we didn't have a lot of pitching changes and all that stuff that's going on now that slows the game down. But yeah, there's some good thing. The pitcher, the clock is probably good. I think you lose a little holding runners on, but I don't see as many stolen bases as maybe there was back then. Maybe that part of the game has changed where it's more power and less speed. But yeah, I think I'm not sure about the strike zone. I still like the umpire to make that call. I like getting 2 or 3 inches once in a while.
Yeah.
You gotta have to put it in the box if.
Yeah, if the old Greg Maddox strike.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. So that human element, close plays at first. I can kind of see that, but I'm a pitcher, so I gotta protect my corners.
What I've found since I don't know how many years they've been doing it, they put the box on the screen now, the strike zone.
Yeah.
And I'm amazed how rarely the umpires get it wrong. I think, I'm not sure there's a need for.
Yeah.
I don't know how I feel about that because I think the umpires, when it comes to balls and strikes, do an incredibly good job.
They do a really good job, really. I mean, yeah, you learn at a young age. You don't want to show them up.
Right.
I learned that lesson.
I learned that as a catcher.
Little temper, so.
Little?
You
You and I both had tempers then.
kinda had to, or you wouldn't get those calls.
That's right.
But, yeah, I think, change is good, and speeding the game up is good. They get long, and I'm just amazed how these hitters can hit. The speeds that these guys are
I
throwing.
know.
I just shake my head every time I watch a game, and they show the speeds of that. It's guys are killing it at 95, 96,
Yeah, it's
97.
incredible.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Jim and I were talking out, sitting around the tables an hour or so ago about the Judge home run.
Yeah.
Where, I mean, top of the strike zone and you're still able to get out in
Yeah.
front
Well, it
of
was
that.
inside. It was
Oh,
inside that much.
Yeah.
And they did a study of the StatCast era where they could go back and look at things, and no one has ever hit a fastball that fast in that location, ever.
Wow.
I don't know how he did it.
Yeah.
It was
Yeah, I saw the
amazing.
replay on that. That was incredible. That was
So,
incredible.
back then it was more about speed than anything else.
Yeah.
What did, if you remember, or if anybody ever told you, what did you top out at, or what was your average, or whatever? Not, just historically.
Yeah, 92 to 94 is kind of where I topped.
Back then, that was really
Oh,
good.
that's really
Major League
good.
average is 86. I think out of high school I was throwing 86 to 88, so I picked up a little bit of speed. So yeah, we had guys that could throw 94, 95, but control was kind of was not as good.
This didn't happen in Wabash County, it happened in Ohio County, southeast Indiana. I was our pitcher, and about all I had was a fastball, because I played all sports,
Yeah.
didn't put a whole lot into one or the other. And my final game, my senior year, after a game, this guy comes walking up, and, "Hi, Steve, I'm Red Brown from the New York Yankees." Okay, this was in '71. And I said, "Well, I wondered who you were." I said, "What's that thing you're holding up there?" I had no
Yeah.
idea of all this
Yeah.
stuff like you guys did. And
Yeah.
and they drafted me in a real late rounds because I think they knew I wasn't very interested. And they said, "We'll send you to the Vero Beach," which I think was double
Yeah.
A ball.
Yeah, Bureau was.
But
yeah.
But then, all that aside, I met this beautiful young lady from Wabash County. And about the time I started teaching Oak Hills when he was throwing, that's where I was very interested, because I had a little bit of that myself, and I thought, hey, go get him, man,
Yeah.
go
I
get him.
appreciate that. Yeah, very good, very good.
Oh, my best buddy said, women and marriage has ruined more good ball players than anything
Well,
else.
I had a girlfriend through all that time. I got really good after we got married, right in the middle of the season. So, that was probably the big adjustment coming from. So 2 things: questioning my ability. Played a Wabash. Yeah, we played in some games, but haven't played college, and so I always questioned if I was really that good, which that was on me. And then leaving the house, you know.
Yeah.
Just to pick up and leave, have a girlfriend, leave family, and you don't come home. You're gone for 6 months.
Yep.
No cell phones. We had in spring training. We had one phone booth. So there's like 100 of us trying to make a phone call.
Yep.
So, I mean,
Remember that from my college days?
Yeah.
Leaving home
Yeah.
for the first
Yeah,
time.
it took a
The
while.
girlfriend
Yep.
and all that stuff. Yeah,
so
it's
Kathy
tough.
persevered through all of, I mean this
She did,
seriously.
really.
Yeah.
Kathy
Yeah.
persevered through all of that.
She did.
Oh, yeah.
You know, it made the relationship stronger, and I would always look back and say it did. It was, a lot of letters and a lot of lonely days, but yeah, I give her a lot of credit for
Yeah,
hanging
imagine.
in there.
Stan, did you have good instruction in the minor leagues? Did you learn anything? I mean,
You
what
know,
was the quality of the coaching
yeah.
and instruction?
I'm just thinking about that the other night. Our manager in rookie ball was Julio Linares, because half of our team was Dominican. If you
Sure.
remember, Cesar Cedeno was
Yep.
kind of,
Oh, yeah.
was kind of the big deal.
I
in
have
Houston.
one of
my
his
favorite
jerseys.
player.
Yeah.
I like to.
And so after him and Clemente and some of those guys, a lot of these teams were getting Dominicans and Puerto Ricans, and so half of our team was Dominican. So we had to have a manager that spoke both languages. And he was I liked Julio. We didn't have really a pitching coach per se in rookie ball, but we'd have Tom House.
Yeah, there
Oh,
you go.
sure.
He was the minor league pitching instructor.
Was that for
Left-hander.
Houston? I mean, for the
Yeah, for
Astros?
Houston. Yeah, for Houston. Single A was another Puerto Rican. Can't remember his name right now, but we had a pitching coach, Bob Cluck. He was a left-handed pitcher.
He played for Houston.
He did.
Yeah.
He played a little bit. And then Double A was Matt Galante, little third baseman
So he was their third base coach forever.
but he was tough. He was a New Yorker.
So he
Listening,
was-
nothing
he was
against
a-
New Yorkers,
He was a
but-
Landrum.
But he was
Yankee,
he was-
baby.
He was a tough guy, and and then our pitching coach there, I don't remember. So to answer the question, we had managers were okay. The pitch, I would say not very good pitching instruction. It didn't make a
Right.
lot of changes. A lot of those guys were left-handed. I don't know if that mattered any,
Yeah.
but I didn't
Did
learn.
they try to teach you any new pitches?
Uh,
Leave it up to you?
They left it up to, Dad had me throw this little change-up knuckleball. They vetoed that right away. They
Yeah, but
took-
you threw that to me.
I know. They took that away. I was in spring training. I was with a guy that played a little bit, Gordy Platts, and he said, "Hey, why don't you learn a palm ball?" So he taught me a palm ball, and it was fairly effective. I never really picked up on a curveball or a slider. I mean, I threw a hard curveball, which they call back then a slurve.
Mhm.
And boy, the days it was on, I was pretty good. But days it wasn't on, they hit them pretty far. So, no, I didn't really learn a lot. My mechanics were pretty good, didn't mess with that much. It was
I've
maybe
always-
disappointing.
I've always wondered, and specifically your career, because you and I are relatively close. I've always wondered about that type of stuff because at the major league level, even historically, 40, 50 years back to today, there's always been, pitching coach, assistant pitching coach, infield coach,
Yeah.
do this, that, whatever. But in the minor leagues, that's where your bread and butter is going to come from. Why they never had, I mean, obviously, I think it was probably financial more than anything,
Probably.
but they didn't have those kind of guys.
Yeah.
They talked about development, but apparently there wasn't.
Yeah.
Development wasn't as.
Well, I think it was an evolution, don't you? I mean, they didn't know a lot of the things they know now. And I think back, do you ever wonder how hard you throw today with the kind of technology
Yeah,
and the
right.
things they've learned?
Yes.
I mean, I honestly
Yeah.
believe you had to be near 100 today. If you threw 94, 96 back then, the advancements they've made. I took my son. He had all kinds of control. He had a great change. He needed to throw in the 90s. He's a right-hander, so he had to throw in the 90s.
Yeah.
We took him down to top velocity in Louisiana with Brent Porcial. He works with all kinds of major leaguers. We met David Ardzma. and some guys down there who were major leaguers trying to get back.
Yeah.
And it's amazing what they can do with those guys. The fundamentals and the mechanics, the track man that shows the spin.
That's.
Do you ever think about that? I mean,
Yeah.
I honestly have to believe you had to be near 100 if you had this kind of technology.
That's probably a good thought. Yeah, good thought. Yeah. But I was told early on after I'd gotten down there that I needed 3 pitches that I could get over the plate 75% of the time. And my fastball was there, but the other 2 were, kind of hit and miss. So, and I'm out there trying to cut the fastball and make it go both directions because that was my bread and butter. I get into a jam. I've learned a lot mentally of the game and I try to teach this to young kids, and it can apply to any sport. When the pressure gets on, and as players, we put a lot of pressure on ourselves.
Yeah.
And the tendency is to speed up and get the ball and get this out, get this over with. And the guys today on the golf course anywhere, basketball, they slow the game down. Slow the game down. And I never really, I could not slow my brain down.
Yep.
I'd go in between innings just full of energy, and I just couldn't relax. Just wanted to get out there, and that was probably the mental part of the game. And then learning that about slowing down is really the 2 big things that I know I had the ability. I had enough speed to do it, but mentally and just learning that part of the game. We didn't have not counselors, but sports therapists, psychologists. Like they got now.
I could use one about daily.
That probably would have helped me a lot.
Were the older players helpful back then or not? I mean, I've read where maybe in the old days they weren't real keen to help young guys come along. How was it?
They really weren't, because we go to spring training trying to take their jobs, right?
Yeah.
We're young and ambitious and throw hard, and you got these guys. So it's pretty standout. We were in the dorms. They're on they had their own places, so we didn't have much contact on the field. They kind of knew.
I thought about that.
Yeah. So it was. We didn't, and really pitchers in general. I didn't really have any other pitchers, even the 5 years I played, that I was really close with because it's dog eat dog. They didn't want you to do well.
Right.
We're all trying to get to the major leagues, and
The
it
brass
was
ring.
very very difficult. I will say though, charting major leaguers, I learned a lot, and Don Sutton I got to chart him one day, and he threw a fastball and a curveball and a slider and some sort of a changeup. Oh, knuckle curve, he had knuckle curve. Anyhow, he did not throw one pitch. He didn't throw real hard down the middle of the plate. He was in these corners the whole time. It was. I learned a lot about pitching that day. About, I just try to get it in the box. These guys are trying to hit it in these corners, and that's the difference between a hard thrower and a pitcher. Greg Maddox, there's.
Yeah, I've always. I mean, I admire watching, like watching last night, Toronto and the Mariners. I mean, those guys can hit that little spot right there in the corner where, we were used to, if you hit my glove, that's a strike.
Yeah.
Well, but hitting your glove includes up here, you're reaching a little, and that, that 2 or 3 inches. Well, Zach Dials played at Southwood, and then was drafted by Toronto. I'm still kind of a mentor to him. He and I are he's a great kid. He lives out in the DC area. He's got a nice little business that he does now. But anyway, I asked him one time when he came back, I said, what's the difference between AA and AAA? And I know you know where I'm going on this. And Zach had this really nice curveball. And he said, that big roundhouse curveball that I had? And I said, yeah. And he goes, that doesn't work in AAA. He goes, it's not even close. It'll work in AA, but not in AAA.
Yeah.
And he talked about that, pinpointing, hitting a certain spot, that when you're in high school, I mean, with all due respect, and you know this, but guys like Stan just threw it by guys. I mean, you get. I know as a coach, I would, Rick and I were coaching the JV, and you get to 7, 8, 9, throw a fastball, get them out of there. Just get them out.
You didn't have to set up hitter, you just threw it.
Mm-hmm.
Threw it hard.
But I mean, you pitched at a time, in an unfortunate time, where the guys that were at the major league level that were throwing, that were blocking your way were guys like Vern Rule and Don Sutton, J.R. Richard, and Nolan Ryan.
Fair pitchers.
Yeah, pretty fair
Yeah.
pitchers.
Those
Yeah.
guys are pretty good.
So I mean, did it? I mean, you know, was there any opportunity that you could kind of, you know, maybe somebody got hurt and you could sneak in?
Yeah, that was the thing there. That's what I mean with confidence. There was probably opportunities, but nobody said, hey, you just got to stay the course. So my career ended. I ended my own career.
Right.
I don't know if
Right.
everybody knows that.
I
knows
didn't
that.
because you've told me that.
But so I went to back up. I got married in '80, finished the season great. Had 2 shutouts in August. I was on the 40-man roster, and I thought, you know, September 1st comes, they call the roster out. Most of them do. Well, Houston was in the playoff hunt that year, and they called 5 guys out, but I didn't get called up. So that was and nobody said, hey, you know, we would have taken. Nobody called and gave any reason. It's just kind of you're on your own. You didn't get called up. So I worked hard, and 81 comes. I big league spring training camp again. I break camp with Tucson AAA. I'm there. Somebody got hurt in the big club, so they took AAA guy. So I got the call and did fairly well. But the guy in the majors got better, and I got bumped back. He said, "Listen, you're going to be the first guy we bring back." So I go down to AA, and I go 5-0. And just probably the best stretch of pitching was after I got married to 5-0. And they called somebody up, and I didn't get called up, and I was not happy.
I'll bet.
You know, I thought, what's going on here?
You know, what
Blah,
else
blah,
I
blah.
need to do?
But to make a long story short, I lose the next 9 in a row. One of those games was in July in 1981, and there's this new thing called ESPN.
I think I've heard of
And
that.
so
me too.
the major leaguers are on strike, so they started doing minor league games. And about 2 days before, we find out that we're playing the Yankees in Nashville, their AA team, that I'm going to get that game. Of course, I'm a high-strung, nervous Nelly anyhow. And
You have no idea.
and that game really was the breaker for me because it was not. I walked the first 2 guys, Willie McGee and Otis Nixon, a couple of left-hand. My ball tailed a lot, and I didn't like to face left-handers, and they had 7 of them. And so I walked the first 2 guys. So I'm in my mind, I'm going. And the great thing about it is my son has found that game, and I've got it.
No.
Oh,
Really? I could live through all this
So you have
mess.
Tyler to blame for
Yeah.
all this.
I go back and I just,
I'd like to see
that
that.
is so, and then we have Billy Doran was our second baseman, played with the Reds,
Mhm.
that got traded. They had a hit and run on, he fumbles it, that could have got out of that, that would have been maybe a double play, at least 1 out. Well, we get nobody out, and I think I get the next day. Anyhow, they score 4 runs in the first inning. Finally get out of the inning. So usually if I can get out of the first inning, I'm okay. The first guy in the second inning, it's a sky-high pop fly. And nobody called it, nobody hit it, I was right behind me. And so here we go again. This guy gets on, next guy, I think we made another error. The guy didn't make the long story short. I get nobody out in the second inning. It's 8-0, and I'm out of it. And this and that.
And nobody's hit the ball hard.
ESPN game.
Jeez.
And I never really recovered from that. That just.
Again, the mental
Yeah.
aspect
Yeah.
is, wow.
But looking back on that game, this is why I didn't understand how good I could have been or was. All the brass from Houston was in. We had all the minor league developers. We had the general manager from Houston was there. Everybody was there watching this game. And I probably, this is just me speaking, might have been probably was the number 1 prospect and pitcher in the organization. And I had no clue. I had no clue. So we get through that year. 82 comes. I worked hard in the off season, ready to go again. And I was with the AAA team, and like 2 days before spring training's over, he says, "Hey, we're going to send you back to AA." So I thought, I've been there 2.5 years. I've really proven myself in double A. The very next day, double A guy says, hey, we want you back day ball.
Whoa.
And
I
so,
never knew that.
And so my wife and I talked, I called home and he said, you know what, now I didn't know this, Keith Shepard told me this, but, so I went and asked for my release and got it. Now, but I'll be honest, at the time, I was mentally done. I was done.
Yeah.
I just, it wasn't fun and I was done. But Keith, so I went home and I said, well, I'm just gonna write letters, see if I can get picked up. Well, once they give you a release, like I quit, nobody can touch you, because I'm still property of Houston. So.
You got a release.
Well, I know, but that's what Keith said. Because you asked for your release, nobody was gonna touch
Right.
you.
He would probably know.
So, after, it's probably May, I started thinking, maybe I shouldn't have done that, but it worked out good. That's how my career ended, but that ESPN game was really, that took a lot out, that took a lot out of me. It did.
But now, through all of this, I mean, first of all, the guy's no dummy, okay? I've known him almost all our lives. You were going to college at the time, correct?
Yep.
Explain that.
So part of my, I wanted to go to college. So part of the bonus, the signing bonus was, there was a college stipulation that they'd pay for my college if I went. So Ball State was on quarters, which was cool at the time. And so I'd play baseball, get done middle of September, and go home and work for my father-in-law on the farm, and then head off to Ball State in right at November 15th or so for that winter quarter. And then that got over about February 10th and off to spring training. So I did that for 5 winters. So, yeah.
So that gets
And
you
then
a pretty good start.
once I got done, I went back to Ball State and finished kind of.
Did they still pay for it?
Yeah, they paid, yeah, that
Okay.
was part of the deal, yeah. So got that paid for. That's nice.
So, so you,
Yeah, yeah.
so you actually did get something out of it other
Yeah.
than just the experience,
And
and that's a good thing.
There was enough money. Back then, you could buy a car and you have enough for a down payment for a house, and it did help. The bonus was nice. A lot of guys will ask, well, would you go into college? Would it changed any? I don't know. Maybe not. My dad wanted me to stay close to home, so I'd signed a national letter of intent with Indiana. I was going to play for the Hoosiers, so that'd have been kind of cool. Their basketball at the time was pretty good.
Yeah.
They
Yeah.
were very fair.
Yeah, but so yeah, but those recruiting.
Well, it's interesting, you talked about confidence, and I think everybody that has any success at all in sports, confidence is obviously a big deal. And I know when I went off to college 600 miles away from home with no support system,
Yeah.
none of my family was able to come to my games.
Yeah, right.
And you question whether you're good enough to be there.
Yeah, that's exactly 100% right.
Yeah, and I went through that myself, and it's tough. And
I think it's
what
tougher.
did you do? For me, it was just a stick-to-itiveness.
Yeah.
And if you can stay with it during those down periods when you doubt yourself, things start happening for you.
Yeah.
So it's very difficult to do and very easy to give up and just come back home.
Yeah.
Did you find that situation?
Yes.
Leaving home?
Yeah, I did. And you'd have good outings and you'd have not so good outings, But yeah, that was the difficult time. Mom and Dad didn't make it down a couple of times.
Right.
They'd go to, if it was close, they'd try to make it there.
That was the same situation.
Yeah, but I think it was just having to go back and start over, prove myself again. Houston had just, in '82, they changed owners. New owner came in, and I don't know. I think they would just, maybe they want me to quit. I don't know. Maybe they were testing me. I don't know. But I just didn't think I could go through it again. Because it's a battle. And for me, it was a battle. It was a battle.
So many.
I found in playing college basketball, and it's amazing to me, but coaches play mental games with you.
Yeah.
Did you find that to be the case?
Yeah.
They don't tell you things that you think you need to know. They'll go the complete opposite direction to see what your reaction is going to be to something else. And I didn't understand that. at the time.
Yeah,
But it
there,
happens.
yeah, I think there was one way to coach, and it was, we're just gonna see, we're gonna throw you all out there, and whoever can survive, survives. And they do make it rough on you, and I was the kind of athlete that needed a pat on the back occasionally.
Yeah.
Mom
Yes,
mom
I
would do it.
understand
Dad
that.
wouldn't do it, but mom would do it.
Here's
Same
the
thing,
Yeah.
same thing.
Yeah,
To me, the great coaches understand that.
yeah,
They know who needs. I used to tell kids when I was coaching younger kids, I still help coach high school, but I'd say, I'm not going to treat you all the same.
yeah.
Because you may need a kick in the butt. You may need a pat on the back.
Mm-hmm.
And we got to figure out who needs what and help you blossom.
Right.
You can treat them the same, but you can treat them equally, but you can't treat them the same.
No,
There's a
not the
difference.
same.
There's a huge
Well,
difference.
Two thoughts are running through my mind right now. Number one, in hearing you talk, and I've heard this before from others, the difference is very slight in ability as to who made it and who didn't. Is
absolutely.
that fair?
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah, there wasn't that much difference between you and the
No.
guy who was pitching.
No.
So to drive home Rick's point, then talk about. I know we've been all around it, but I guess what I'd like to hear you tell young guys out there is how tough it is on the mental side and how much more important. I
You're
don't
reading
think
my
coaches
mind,
spend
Jimmy.
enough
Yeah.
time. For instance, what I do, I'm too old to go out and show kids technique. I don't even know
Yeah.
what the new techniques are.
That's right.
But what I do on our high school team is I walk around and I talk to kids mentally. Hey, don't let that get you down.
Yeah.
You've done this well. Let's do this. I would just love to see more coaches spend more time on the mental side of the game. Just discuss that.
Yeah. No, that's 100% right. I mean, and that's what I do. I still coach baseball, and yeah, we'll teach balance and a few simple things, but at the end of the day, it's getting in somebody's head, and especially after a bad game, you get a chance to talk to them. But there was nobody to talk to. You
Right.
couldn't talk to your teammates because
Yep.
the pitchers they didn't want to talk to you. Your managers, they didn't. There was just nobody to discuss.
You're on an
like,
island.
yeah, like so if you have a bad game in high school, mom and dad was there to what we do
Yeah.
what can I do
Dad
better here?
Dad was
I
there
guess-
to round
Yeah.
me and then bring build you back
And there was
up.
nothing you
I
had
guess
to.
it's called growing up,
Yeah,
but it's also very painful.
It is very.
Yeah, but we're
yeah.
not all equal in
Yeah,
that way.
yeah.
To me, it sounds like the guys who really end up making it were the ones who were the most mentally tough. Is that a fair?
That is one. Yes. So
Single-minded
there
myself.
was two players, and the ones that make it are the ones that can just game's over. I'm gonna go out, drink, do whatever I want, and forget about it. And it seems like not all, in all cases, but those guys that was able to move on. And then there's guys like myself who, I've got to work harder. I've got to stay in. I got to get my sleep. I got to work harder, which is okay, but you got to let it go.
Exactly.
If I had a bad game, like when I got under that losing streak, it was like, oh no, how am I going to do tonight? And it just snowballed. In the past, I was able to have a good game and come back and and get out of that funk. But especially after the ESPN game, the funk was just there, and I had nobody to get me out of that funk, and I couldn't deal with it.
Coach Sherman, there was a young man in Huntington, ended up being an assistant coach for me, but Coach Sherman was, kind of like Coach Rube around here.
Mhm.
And
Oh, they were the best of friends too.
I heard someone ask him about this young man on his team, very talented, ended up playing D1 baseball. And they said, will he ever make it? Sherman says, no, he won't. They said, why not? He's his own worst enemy. He said
Yeah.
if he could put things away,
Guilty.
he's good enough.
Yeah, right.
And Rick has said something. I hate to give Rick credit, Stan. But Rick said something that really got through to me when we played together. He said, when you cross those lines, there shouldn't be anything more important in the world for that next 2 hours than this game.
Yeah.
But when you come back across that line, there should be nothing less important.
Yeah.
And I try to give that to kids. I really do.
That is very wise, very wise.
Well, it's not an original thought. Steve Desper told me that,
Oh, wow.
and it resonated
Yeah.
with me.
Yeah.
2 weekends
Good
ago.
at that.
Yeah.
Yep. 2 weekends ago, I was in North Carolina watching my grandson play. He's a 13-year-old, same as your grandkids.
Talkin,
Yeah, and he made the last out of a game with runners in scoring position, and a runner at third would have tied it. The runner at second would have won it, and he hits a he hits a ground ball, he goes with the pitch, he hits a ground ball between first and second. Second baseman makes a nice diving play and flips it to first for the out. Game over. Well, now he comes off and he's got that, he can't let it go. He's like me. He couldn't let it go. And I said, look, think about this. I said, who would you rather have on your team? Who would you rather have at the plate in that situation right now? And he kind of looked at me and he didn't know what to say. And I said, you. And he goes, why? I made an out. And I go, you don't strike out. You're smart enough to go with the pitch. And I said, okay. So the guy made a play and the game's over. I said, but nobody died. I said, you're going to come out and play in another 2 hours again. Nobody died. He's like, I never thought about it that way.
Yeah.
But we didn't, did we?
No.
All five of us, I'm guessing.
Yeah.
I never got past that.
Well, yeah, I was one of those guys. I wanted to put my head down and, subconsciously you're trying to show everybody how bad you feel.
Yeah.
You don't need to do that.
Yeah.
They know. We've all lived it, right?
Yeah.
You just have to keep that head up and
Yeah.
move on.
Of course, then again, Stan and I had a high school coach, and I know you did too, where, game's over and you're on the bus or you're walking out and there any sign of any happiness when you lost didn't bode well for you.
No, that wasn't a good thing. I think it was,
But
so,
wait, go ahead.
yeah. So I didn't get much support from my coaches. I pitched a game against the Yankees. I think it was 1980, and Pat Dobson was their minor league pitching coach. Pat.
Pretty good pitcher.
And I was headed to the bus, and he called me over and said, "Hey, you did a really good job, and keep your head up," and just gave me that was probably the most positive reinforcement I got in the the 5+ years that I played. It was from an opposing coach, and so that was a big shot in the arm.
Beyond high school, I found that if you're looking for somebody else to instill confidence in you, you're wasting your time.
Mm-hmm.
It's on you.
Yeah, no, that's
It's on you, and you've got to do it. They're not cheerleaders for you.
Yeah.
That's not their job. One of the most rewarding things that ever happened to me is when I went back to Furman for a reunion. This was 20 years after I graduated, and my assistant coach at Furman wanted to make sure I was going to be there. He wanted to see me. I hadn't seen him in 20-some years. And we go there for the dedication of a locker room to my teammate who was dying of cancer. And my assistant coach came up to me and he said, he called me Hondo.
Trust me,
called me.
Everybody got
But
their
anyway,
focus
he
on
said, and it meant so much to me, and I'll take this to the grave with me. I don't know if I've ever even told anybody this story before, but he said, for 20 years I've been wanting to talk to you. I said, what about? Too many shots?
yeah.
No passes?
Yeah. No, he said, I just wanted you to know, Hondo, that you earned your scholarship here. He said, the head coach, I won't even mention, he played mental games with you and he was wrong for doing it. He said, and the way you responded meant a lot to me, and he said, I've been wanting to tell you that for 20 years. I said, well, I wish you'd have told me that 20 years ago. That might have helped.
Yeah.
But that was such a cool thing to happen.
Yeah.
20 years, 25 years down the line. But again, it's not up to your coaches
Right. No.
to make you a confident player. That's on you. You got to find a way to do it.
Yeah, that's right.
And that's what I think we need to somehow get across to kids early
Yeah.
on.
Yeah.
I don't think, in the old days, like you said, tear them down, tear them down, tear them down. I think it's wrong.
Yeah.
Build them up.
my thought process was always, as a coach, if you're going to tear a kid down, you better immediately bump them back up. Let them understand that, okay, you made a mistake, mental or physical, whatever, but you still got it. You can still do this.
Yeah.
But a lot of guys didn't do that. I know. I've coached, all five of us have coached a lot of years. And I know that you don't treat your grandsons that way. And I know you didn't treat Tyler that way because he doesn't coach that way.
Yeah, it's a softer. Well, it could be tough when we had to be tough.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah.
Oh,
You're
absolutely.
not giving me an effort.
That's
Here's,
right.
You
whatever.
gotta have both sides.
But at the end of the day, protect the mind and try to build that confidence, help them build that confidence.
Steve, you and I were both there at the Hall of Fame banquet, the induction ceremony. I told Jimmy about this. One of the coolest things I have ever seen. I mean, this is top 10 for me. I'm standing, this is at the Ivy Room above Market Street.
Yeah.
You were there.
Yeah.
I'm standing at the top of the stairs when all three of the grandsons come running up the stairs, followed by mom and dad, and then grandma and grandpa, and whoever else. They all had shirts that Tyler, his son, had made for him with his picture on it and all this and that. And it was, I mean, the way those boys, well, your daughter was there. You know, they were all there. But the way those boys reacted and how proud they were of what their grandfather had done and what he was there for. That was top 10 for me, man. That was top 10.
That was pretty special.
That was really special.
Yeah.
And I'm sure that Tyler didn't sit him down and go, now look, here's what.
They're Astro fans. Those boys. They're grandpa's
Forever.
buddies. So we spent a lot of time with them. But yeah, that was a special night. Hats off to the committee and.
That's not what I.
You
That's
know.
not why.
I know that. It was a wonderful night, and yeah, the athletes there were. It was nice.
It was.
Night. It was a nice
I don't. But it was just the way. I mean, and through that entire ceremony, and for three kids that are in their pre-teens, to sit there and listen and watch all of those people, and then Grandpa was one of the last ones, to be inducted, and it was still so darn cool. The way they reacted, that fueled me for weeks.
That's nice.
That was their moment.
Mm-hmm.
Well, to me, that's fun about what we're doing now and what you're doing with the Hall of Fame. What you've done and what other really special athletes around here, it lifts everybody. It really lifts the community. It lets young guys say, look, he did it. He's from here. I can do that.
Mm-hmm.
That's a good point,
I mean, we've had a lot of kids come through our Little League system. Football, basketball, doesn't matter, but specifically baseball, because that's what we're talking about. We've had a lot of kids that have been given an awful lot of opportunities that they're standing on the shoulders of guys like Stan. I mean, that's.
Absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's very nice. Appreciate that.
I mean, there are also a lot of them that didn't have the athletic talent to move on, but like I was talking to somebody this morning earlier. What are you going to do? He's telling his son, what kind of a university are you going to go to get a higher education? Or you're telling me that it means that much to you to pay $40,000 a year to go play baseball for 4 more years, knowing that that's it. Well, you know what? That's what makes America great. It's a free country. You can do whatever. And who knows? There might be that scout that's there scouting somebody else that sees a Stan Leland.
Right. That's exactly.
Don't you think in baseball more than any other sport that's true?
Oh yeah.
I mean, in basketball, you got guys who are so talented.
Yeah.
But baseball, there's a fine line, isn't there?
Yeah, there's a fine line. Absolutely, yeah, there is. And they got all this travel ball and everything. My son Tyler's tried to keep out of that. I've always said if you're good enough, they're going to find you.
Mm-hmm.
If it's high school, I don't like to see kids getting, because how many times have we seen starting at 8, 9, 10, 11, by the time you get to high school, they're not even playing.
Right.
Or they're burned out.
Or they're burned out.
Yeah, I was just saying.
College coaches are saying that more and more.
It just gets tough.
By the time they get to college, they're almost
I'm
done.
not sure you can instill the love of the game in the kid. You can't
Right.
force that. You can't.
Mm-mm.
Right,
It
that's a good
has
point.
to come. They have to love it to be willing to sacrifice to get good at it.
Well, what I think's
And I don't
tough
think you
now,
I don't think you can force that. I really don't.
from a high school standpoint, I don't feel like kids come up have learned to play. Didn't we learn to play out there in
learned
that
to play.
sand lot?
Yeah.
That's what we were
We
doing.
didn't have coaches.
We learned
We
to
didn't
play.
have umpires.
Yeah.
And now, from the
Figured it out.
beginning, we get them into travel ball,
Oh,
we get them to
yeah.
practices, and we
Yeah.
tell them how they ought to do it.
Yeah.
It's not letting them learn.
Crazy.
Yeah, that's right.
Crazy.
And the thing is,
That natural.
think about
ability.
this, our generation started that, because we were the guys that we were out there playing in the sandlot and doing all this stuff, but wouldn't it be cool if we could start our own teams and we had a
Sure.
facility to go
Yeah.
play? Well, we created that,
Yeah,
and
that's
now look
true.
what we're
Yeah,
at.
That's right,
Yeah.
that's right, yeah. I will say that the Houston Astro organization was very fair to me. They gave me an opportunity that I didn't think I'd ever have. They invested time and money in me, and, yeah, I don't wanna come across that, you know, it was a good time, and it was a learning experience. I've grown so much because of
So say it
that
tempers
opportunity.
you for the rest of your
Yeah,
life.
and so, yeah, it was a good organization.
Well, I have a dear friend, Steve Platt. You know that name?
Yeah, from Huntington,
Steve's like my older brother,
okay.
and
He's old.
you know, he was the last man cut. Well, he's passed away now, but he was the last man cut on the Washington Bullets.
Did not know
And
that.
I relate that to where you're at. You were at. You were right there.
Yeah.
And when he walked away, they said in the preseason, if you stay, we think somebody else will pick you up. But they won the NBA title that year.
Yeah.
So they were awfully
That's
good.
right.
And he chose to go back home just like you did. But he told me, he said, I won't tell other people this, but in my heart, I know I was good enough. And that's enough for me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wouldn't you feel the same?
Yeah, I would. Yeah, I would. I felt I had the skills and the ability.
Well, can I tell you something else? And I know that we're related and all that, but we all felt that way.
Wow.
We knew you did too, and that's not to, it wasn't to put pressure on you or make you feel worse, but
Yeah.
No.
we
Yeah.
were proud. We were very proud.
Well, thank you.
It was
That's
fun.
nice. Yeah. That's good.
All right, boys, anything else?
It's
You
not,
think of
it's
anything?
not 11 o'clock already, is it?
Couple questions.
Okay, Pete, whip it on us.
Uh,
it is.
Wow.
I was never an athlete, but I loved to play. And I never even made a junior high team. That's okay. I grew up during the early years of World War II. Yeah, I'm not gonna.
Two, Pete, two.
Go to.
World War II. And this was a softball town in those
Yeah.
years.
Yeah.
And the only baseball field was down in the lower level of City Park. And
Where it still is
right
today.
Under the American Legion had a team that played
Yeah.
down
Yeah,
there.
played that for a year.
Mhm.
And I look back on this, and I think that the turning from softball in this town to baseball came with Hap Pfeiffer and
Yep.
his
Oh, yeah.
Little League. Yeah, am I on track on that?
Yes,
Yes,
sir.
you are.
Yeah.
Good old Doc Pfeiffer.
Doc was a good one. He was a good one.
I would say, tell me if I'm wrong, I would say that Wabash Little League would not have had the success that we had back in the late 60s into the 70s and probably even today without that type of influence and a guy like him.
Yeah.
Because if you played for him, which we did not,
Yeah.
if you played for him, he was as big a mentor as you could ask for. If you played against him, his teams, you had to work at it to beat him, and you wanted to beat him.
Yeah.
But it wasn't malicious. And Doc was one of those guys. He was the Pat Dobson. He would come to you and say, "Hey, you had a great game today.
That's true.
Keep working at it." You're right.
Yeah.
And Cecil Mills was director of community service in those years. And he saw to it that there was a grade school league. And he would come around and pick us up in a pickup truck with 10 or 12 kids in the back. Now think of the liability.
Yeah. I didn't worry about back then.
He was a remarkable guy, and I learned a lot from him. And I want to tell one quick story. I was at bat over at Westport. I'm up to bat, and we were playing, I think, Southside. And here came the pitch, and I'll tell you, it was way outside. I mean, it went down the main street of Bippus, I think. So I squawked, and he said, "You stay after the game." And we had a little discussion about that. So, learned a lot. And then one more question, if I may. You mentioned playing out at the site of, what is now Flag Star Bank.
Mhm.
Yeah,
No building there at that time?
Mm-mm, nothing, just a rolling hill.
Okay.
There was an old building down there.
Yeah, there was a.
Yeah.
Was it on down the
It
hill?
was down the hill to the left. There's the apple orchard is out there.
Right.
And there's a building.
Oh, yeah.
The gray building.
Mhm.
Yeah, and that was part of the old Wander orchard.
Yeah,
And that building was where they made the apple cider,
yeah,
all that stuff.
Hmm.
yeah, there was.
Good thing you
A
lived there,
long-
cause I
long
did
time
not
ago,
know
yeah.
that.
Well, Dad was always adamant crossing Harrison Avenue, boy, he catch you not looking across that road, boy. He let you have it. He caught somebody not, I think it was Tom Knafel.
Hey, it wasn't very
He chewed
bad.
him out.
Are there any softball teams left in Wabash?
4 or 5 tops. And I know at one point, between the 3 of us, when we played, there was probably close to 30.
Yeah. Tournaments,
Yeah,
oh, we had a lot of fun.
weekend
My
tournaments.
dad played, he tells me those stories.
Yep, I did too. In fact, the first glove I had was my dad, first glove I had to try out for Little League was my dad's softball glove. Hell, it was as big as I was. About that long.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's, there's so many thoughts, so many memories. Here's one to keep, this isn't baseball related, but that apple orchard,
Mhm.
we'd ride our bikes back through there and sit there and wait on these guys to either walk through or ride their bikes or whatever, and then we'd get into rotten apple fights.
Yeah.
That's how we build our arms up.
That's right. Yeah. Yeah, wow. The good old days.
Oh, yeah, oh, yeah, and I still, do you remember the trail that we could ride through that took us back from where they had just built the junior high?
Yeah.
A couple of years before that, yeah.
Yeah.
Through that woods, and there was a trail that we used to ride our bikes back through to get to the orchard, really. And there was one spot that when you went over the hump and then down into the grade and then came up the other side,
Yeah.
there was a spring that ran through there. When Chris Rood had that baseball field built, do you remember there was always a wet spot?
Yeah.
Kind of between, it was back off at the bottom of the hill, but it was between home plate and the dugout, back away. And he said, I cannot understand why there's always water there. And I said, Coach, there used to be a spring there when we were kids. I said, ask Stan Leland. We rode our bikes through there and it was always wet. Oh, that's crap. Well, guess what? They went in there finally and capped that. Years later, long after he was gone.
Yeah.
He never would have acknowledged that.
Well, yeah.
Stan, I'm curious. I was sitting here thinking about your years and my years. We weren't that far apart. Did you ever run in the minors or any time to a guy from Huntington named Mark Parker?
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
kind of figured you would
Yeah.
have.
Yeah.
Mark
Mark
was in the
Parker.
Cubs organization, made it to AAA, I think.
Yeah, he did.
So you had the chance
Yeah.
to compete against him.
Yeah, Mark.
Great.
Yeah. Wickensheimer from Fort Wayne.
Oh yes,
Oh,
yes,
yeah.
yes.
And,
God, there's a name
there
I
was
haven't heard in
a
years.
kid by the name of Dan Brown at New Haven. Brent Gaff from Cherubusco.
Yep.
Wow.
Yep.
Bruce Robbins, lefty from Blackford.
Oh, yeah.
Wickensheimer. I played against him in Stan Musial in Fort Wayne.
Yeah.
And I came up again. We were in the tournament. I was playing for Blackie's Corral
Oh.
Rib Bar. Remember Blackie's?
Yeah.
Later they were La Margarita.
Yeah.
And we were down 2-0. I was up with a guy on second. And I played a lot of fast pitch softball during that time too. So I came to the plate last inning, and the coach says take a strike, because I hadn't played a lot lately. I took a first pitch, just kind of gave the old balance, watch it right down the middle. And the coach hollers in, take another one. Okay. Right as he's winding up, I'm thinking, I'll never see a better pitch in my entire life. And I swung and I hit it all. I crushed it as hard as I could possibly hit a ball. The center fielder was Jim Dwyer or something like that. He'd played D1 at Ball State. He caught it over his head, close to the warning track.
Yeah.
And as I came back by, Wickensheimer says, if you'd have hit that anywhere else. I just said, yeah, I know. That was my last at bat. It was an out, but it was as good as I could hit a ball. But he was good.
Well,
Yeah,
you
he
just brought back,
was good.
you just brought back memories. My little brother and I played, he was a year younger than you. My little brother and I played on one of those teams, and I was kind of a throw-in. My brother was a pretty good player. Hires Auto Parts.
Yeah,
Remember that?
yeah, yeah.
I cannot remember the guy's name that coached it.
I think Whitey played for Myers.
Oh yeah, Betty,
I
yeah.
think he did. I think he did.
This guy was just, he worked at Hires. He was one of their installers. And he was just one of those guys, well, you know, we play at 5:30. If you're there by 15 after, you'll be in the lineup, you know, whatever. Okay.
Yeah, that was fun playing. up there
Hires Auto
against those
Parts.
guys. Yeah.
Wow.
You brought back memories when you mentioned Colin Lister. I know
Yeah.
he was just such a
He
name
was.
around.
Now there was an encourager.
Really?
Yeah, oh yeah. He came to our graduation. He came down and watched me pitch a couple of times. I got to be.
Nice.
I got to coach up there for the Comets right before he passed, which was an honor. to do
No
that.
kidding.
Wow.
Yeah, so that was nice, but yeah, but no, Pat Underwood, and then you guys probably remember the name David Clyde,
Oh yeah.
200-mile-an-hour,
Mhm.
first guy, a high school kid drafted.
I was
out
gonna
of
say,
high
didn't they
school.
bring him right
Yeah,
out of high school?
right up
yeah,
onto
I
the-
got to meet him.
Oh
He
man.
was on his way out.
He was with the Rangers.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was. That was kind of a neat time.
I always heard he was a really good guy.
Yeah, I mean, what I knew. I mean, he was very humble and 100-mile-an-hour.
Flamethrower.
That was everybody's goal.
Well, nobody threw 100 back then
Nobody
either,
threw
right?
100.
Yeah.
He wasn't a very big guy either.
Huh.
But he threw hard. So yeah.
Anything else you guys can think of?
No,
I think we
enjoyed
covered-
having you here, Stan.
Yeah.
Thanks for the invite.
Thank you.
It went fast, and you guys are great. And
At
I
some
mean, we're
point we-
sports junkies.
yes.
And particularly baseball junkies, and I just thank you for sharing with us.
Yeah.
We get to live a little vicariously through you.
Yeah, I appreciate that.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you.
I did. I know that.
Yeah.
So, appreciate it. So yeah, we'll probably have a follow up, you know, whenever at
All
some
right,
point.
not a
but-
problem. But I will start watching.
Okay. All right. All right.
I'm gonna go
You're
back.
watching right there.
I'm gonna go back and yeah.
You're
I didn't know. I guess I didn't. I wasn't 100% sure if it was a radio thing, and then my Tyler said, "No, it's a podcast." I said, "Well, I could watch those
Yeah, it's a-
anytime." So
We used to do it on Facebook Live, but then after 30 days they were gone. Podcast, we had got some advice, and a podcast you can do on like with these speakers. We used to have to wear headphones.
yeah.
All that. You can do it with these speakers, and a podcast will stay on YouTube indefinitely. So
Okay.
you can go back and watch
Very
any
good.
of them that we've
Great.
put on there. So we appreciate it.
Yeah,
Thanks for
thank
coming.
you.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. We will do it again next month. And next month we have representatives coming. Pete, you're going to love this. We have representatives coming next month from the Wabash Express football team.
Wow.
Nice.
Yeah.
Wow.
Steve,
Known briefly as the Eagles, one time, maybe 1 year as the Wabash Eagles.
Oh, probably. Yeah, I don't know. They'll be able to explain
You're talking
that.
about Pete Richards' team.
Yep, Pete Rich, of course, Pete's no longer with us, but Steve Jeffers, the Snyder boys, I don't know who all's coming, 3 or
We
4
can see
of
if we
them.
can get my brother-in-law Lane to come.
Yeah, there you
There you
go.
go.
Say something to him.
I will.
Okay. All right, sounds good.
Very good.
All right, we'll see you next month. We'll do it all again. Thank you.
Yeah. Thanks, Pete. Thank you.
My friend.
Thanks for the invite.
Good job, Stan. Enjoyed it very
Appreciate
much.
everybody's.
That was
Appreciate
cool.
Really
Thanks for
interesting.
coming.
Thank you. No holes barred.
Oh, man, I got stuck.
Well, yeah, I mean, and the thing is, I never, I mean, I'm to the point now where I don't bring notes. I mean, 'cause we get
Yeah.
it started and
Yeah,
it just
just
goes.
Yeah.
You know, I used to think, okay, I need to be like radio. I need to be prepared. We need to do this. We need to do that. No,
Yeah.
let's just come and talk. That's what we do.
That was good.
All right. Thank you, my friend. Appreciate it.
Yeah, here, move a little bit.
Yeah, Hope's back.
So, you know,
No,
you
I
look back
never-
and some of the guys you played against, Cal Ripken Jr., he was with Charlotte.
Oh, you're kidding.